Keir Starmer and Donald Trump will go head-to-head today for the first time as the PM tries to rally support for Ukraine. The Labour leader has crossed the Atlantic as the world awaits to see if the U.S. will pull the plug on their support for Kyiv. Trump has upended U.S. policy on the Ukraine war, branding Volodymyr Zelensky a dictator and bringing Russia in from the cold. The U.S. has been accused of excluding Ukraine and Europe from talks, with Trump's team meeting with Vladimir Putin's officials in Saudi Arabia. Starmer will attempt to shore up U.S. support as Europe faces the possibility of standing alone against Russia. The PM will be the sixth leader to visit the White House since Trump became president. He will argue that both Kyiv and Europe must have seats at the negotiating table in any effort to end Putin's three-year war in Ukraine. Sir Keir Starmer issued an emotional appeal for President Donald Trump to stand by Ukraine with a security guarantee last Saturday. The PM also warned that a bad peace deal would be a disaster for the globe. But a good peace can only be won with strength, and it requires the world to stand up to Vladimir Putin's tyranny, the PM said. After Ukrainian supporters held a protest outside the Russian embassy in London yesterday, Sir Keir also hailed the war-torn country's bulldog spirit, comparing it to the courage of Brits against Hitler. He said Ukraine must be at the heart of peace negotiations. Trump to meet Zelensky in Washington on Friday. Donald Trump is set to complete a trio of vital European meetings with fellow leaders when he sits down with Volodymyr Zelensky at the end of the week. The crucial meeting between the two presidents will mark their first face-to-face chat since Trump labeled Zelensky a dictator. Trump said he will meet his Ukrainian counterpart as he told reporters in the Oval Office on Tuesday, "I hear that he's coming on Friday. Certainly it's okay with me if he'd like to." The U.S. president is also due to meet Sir Keir Starmer today after he welcomed France's Emmanuel Macron to the White House on Monday. President Macron became the first European leader to visit since Trump returned to office. The main topic of conversation in the meetings is the ongoing war in Ukraine and how a peace deal can be agreed. The PM has revealed what he believes is a successful plan to bring peace to Ukraine as talks continue over ending the war. Starmer believes thousands of troops should be deployed on the ground in Ukraine to act as peacekeepers. The plan will aim to stop any Russian aggression in the future. Royal Mad Trump to stay with King Charles. Donald Trump is expected to be invited to stay with the king at Balmoral when he meets PM Keir Starmer today. The unprecedented invitation to a second state visit to the United Kingdom for the president will be the jewel in the crown of Starmer's efforts to woo the new White House. A senior government source told The Sun Balmoral would be the obvious choice for the Don due to his Scottish heritage. There are also two golf courses north of the border. President Trump was awarded his first state visit in June 2019, with no U.S. president ever offered two such distinctions. Sir Keir Starmer is set to end his very busy week by hosting an international summit for world leaders on Sunday. The meet is due to take place at Lancaster House in central London. Many key European allies are set to attend, including Germany, Italy, France, and Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and French President Emmanuel Macron are expected to join Starmer, Sky reports. UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy has confirmed that Donald Trump has been given a veto on the UK's plan to give up sovereignty of the Chagos Islands. Lammy revealed the US president can stop any agreement on the eve of Sir Keir Starmer holding talks in the White House. The proposed agreement would see the UK pay Mauritius £9 billion to take the Indian Ocean Islands in exchange for a 99-year lease to continue using the joint UK-US Diego Garcia military base there. It came as Sir Keir Starmer faced criticism from MPs for refusing to say if cash from the UK's defence spending rise will go on Chagos costs. David Lammy told ITV's Peston, "If President Trump doesn't like the deal will not go forward." Douglas McKinnon has given several pieces of insight into how the UK PM can deal with Trump, who is known as a notoriously tricky customer. His first bit of advice would be not to worry about winning the handshake war when he meets him at the White House. Next, before you broach any diplomatic or international relations issues, you have some fences to mend with Trump. Three which come to mind are these. First, you allow approximately 100 members of the Labour Party to fly to the United States to actively campaign for Vice President Kamala Harris. In case no one on your team told you, that really angered the preside. Peter Mandelson has welcomed Keir Starmer and David Lammy to Washington ahead of the PM's crucial meeting with Trump later today. Welcoming the political pair on stage, he said, "We are living through a very significant moment for our lives, between our two countries and indeed for all the freedom-loving democracies in the world. The US and the United Kingdom, we basically share everything together. We share people, we share cultures, we share a lot of intelligence, we share technologies, and we also share some of the fighting of our adversaries as well. And of course, one thing we don't need to fight over is trade, because we have this fantastically fair and balanced trade relationship when we reciprocate so much. That's just a little thing for you to remember in the coming weeks. But I tell you what we've also got at this time, and that is an era of great possibility for us, for both our countries in what we can do together." Starmer added, "I've only just arrived, but already I can feel there's real buzz around Washington right now. You can sense that there's a new leader. He's a true one-off, a pioneer in business, in politics. Many people love him. Others love to hate him. We want to strike to a new partnership. We share the view that our best days lie ahead. And, taking out a chainsaw isn't quite my style, but we are stripping away red tape and bureaucracy." Macron and Starmer are both leading the way in trying to urge Washington to listen to all parties involved in a truce, including Europe and Ukraine, after recent US-Russia-only talks. Macron stood side by side with Trump in the White House on Monday to discuss the war. It was the first meeting between the Republican and a European leader since Trump re-entered office in January. Speaking together at a podium, Macron said peace must not be a surrender of Ukraine, as he also called on Europeans to do more to protect the continent. Trump made a stern warning that any overspill outside of Ukraine's borders could have a devastating outcome if a peace deal isn't secured soon. Meanwhile, Macron echoed Trump's words, but made it clear that Ukraine's future should be prioritized and that the US and Europe need to shoulder responsibilities. Volodymyr Zelensky has confirmed he will meet Donald Trump in Washington to sign a historic minerals deal with the US. The deal, said to be worth up to $500 billion, is seen as a way for Ukraine to get the US back on its side ahead of talks on ending the war with Russia. Zelensky today said that the proposed deal was a starting point for a wider agreement,